Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, welcome. My name is Shara, and this week I wanted to do a different kind of video for you guys. I wanted to do a discussion video talking about disability awareness. So what I've noticed is that there are a lot of misconceptions about people with disabilities or people in wheelchairs, and my goal is to educate people about these misconceptions and basically enlighten them, because a lot of people are in the dark about what it's like to live with a disability and also what it's like to be around people with disabilities or how to treat someone with a disability. Sometimes it can get into like an awkward stage for people, like they don't really know how to act. And that has been my experience for most of my life, is that a lot of people have these misconceptions, like I said, and they basically are unaware of what it's like to live with a disability, so they come up with their own ideas. But I'm here to educate and inform based on my experience. So let's start off with a few common misconceptions. So one of the common misconceptions is that we always need help. Now, from my experience being a person with a disability, we are some innovative people. We find ways to get what we need to get done, and either on our own or we find some other innovative ways to get things done. If there's something that we need assistance with, we will ask for help. And also, I feel like it's important for able-bodied people to know that if you see someone with a disability struggling to do something, it's totally okay to ask if they need help. I think that's a really courteous thing to do, as you know, you would do to another person that you see struggling to do something. It's the same concept. I personally like to try and do things before I ask for help. So, you know, basically if I realize that I can't do something or I'm struggling to get something done, I will ask for help. And I feel like that's the consensus with most disabled people, is that, hey, if we can't do something, can you help out? You know, it's just, I feel like everyone should feel comfortable to ask. Another misconception would be that we're always sad because we're disabled. Now, for me, that's not really the case, because I've had a disability since I was 4 years old. So I've been dealing with it for most of my life. I've learned to adapt, and I'm still able to do a lot of the things that I used to do, so I don't really feel like I'm missing out on life, except walking. You know, that's probably one thing that it doesn't really bother me that much, because I'm so used to being in a wheelchair. I've been in a wheelchair since I was 19, so that's a good while now. Almost 20 years. So basically it's something that I'm used to. I don't feel like my life is just so sad because I don't walk, you know, or I have issues with my hands. That's really not the case. My disability doesn't really make me feel sad anymore, because I've learned to love myself. And I'm not saying I love my disability, but I've learned to love myself, and a part of myself is my disability. Now, if it's a situation like someone was injured, or they just realized that, you know, or an affliction comes upon them where they're disabled all of a sudden, I can understand that. It is more of an adjustment to get used to your life completely changing. So I can understand how that could affect their mood, and, you know, they could be sad because of that. It takes a while to really adjust. You know, especially if you used to do something, you can't do it anymore. It takes a while. Sometimes it really does have an effect on your psyche. And that's why it's really important to practice self-love and self-care, and to make sure that our mental health is also nourished as well, because life isn't easy. And if you couple that with a physical disability, it becomes hard. So it's very important to be mentally strong and mentally solid in who you are in order to really thrive. And to be honest, there are good days and there are not so good days. There are days when I am out there ready to conquer the world and just nothing can stop me. And there are days where I feel bogged down by my disability, where it's like, oh, my hands aren't working the way I want them to work today, or you know, I mess up on my makeup, or I'm not able to do something that requires a lot of dexterity in my hands. You know, sometimes it does get frustrating. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not gonna say that, oh yes, it's always chipper and butterflies and all that cheery stuff. It's not. It's not. But the good days far outweigh the bad days. So another misconception is that we don't have good hygiene. So good hygiene or bad hygiene really depends on the person. If a person has a disability or doesn't have a disability, if you're a slob, you're a slob. If you're not, you're not. You know, it just all depends on the person. So there are a lot of people with disabilities that take care of their personal hygiene on their own, like I do. I take care of all my personal hygiene on my own. I'm still able to do that. But in the future, if I happen to, my condition progresses to the point where I'm not able to take care of those things on my own, then I would definitely get a PA or personal attendant to assist me with those things. And basically, there's a lot of disabled people that need assistance with personal care, and they have personal care attendants to do things like that for them. So like I said, it really is a personal matter, a matter of personal hygiene. The disabled people that I know love to smell good, look good. Like my best friend, she's in a wheelchair and she always smells good. Like always. I'm always up on her because she smells so divine. So it's like, it's something that people really shouldn't judge just because, okay, well, he or she is disabled, or he and she may have issues with their hands, or they can't do any certain things, that they are lacking in any area, or they don't take care of their personal hygiene. That is an assumption, and that is so far from the truth. Now, there are some people that are slobs, just like there are able-bodied people that are slobs. So, like I said, it's a matter of personal hygiene. Okay, so another common misconception is that we don't want to be touched, or we're not affectionate, or we just want to be left alone. And I can only speak for me personally, but deep down inside, I am a hugger. I love the energy transfer with a hug, the warmth. You feel a close bond with, you know, a person. You feel comforted with a hug. However, because I'm in a wheelchair, I feel like it's kind of a barrier, like that separates me from other people. It can be a barrier. At least I see it sometimes in my eyes, that it can be a barrier. So I tend to not initiate hugs very much, because I guess that's something I need to work on. You know, I just feel a little weird about initiating a hug, although I really want one. So I just feel like it is a social barrier. It's like a physical barrier and a social barrier. I've noticed that a lot of able-bodied people may not know how to show affection to someone in a wheelchair. Like, they may feel that it's awkward because it's something different. You know, they don't know if they should be touching someone in a wheelchair or how the whole logistics work. And I can understand the awkwardness, because a wheelchair, it's, you know, it's a machine, you know, that you sit on, apparatus that you sit on. So it could be a little bit of, like I said, a barrier. But I think the important thing to remember is that most humans are social creatures, and we thrive off of love and affection and touching and things like that. So I think that's a really important thing to remember, that, you know, we're humans and we need affection and we need love. So to not be afraid to approach someone in the wheelchair, especially if you get that vibe from them, to not be afraid to express that. So another really big misconception is that we cannot have good sexual experiences. This is really a big one, and it's all about misinformation, just stigma, things like that. So everyone has a different case. I can't speak for all disabled people, but everyone has a different case. But usually sexuality is not affected by disability. A lot of disabled people can still have sex, and good, mutually satisfying sex at that. I think it's definitely important to have an open-minded partner that you can trust in order to communicate how to make the experience as pleasurable as possible for both parties. And coming from a woman's perspective, there is a sexual goddess inside all of us, regardless of ability. So don't let that stop you. If you find an attractive girl in a wheelchair or attractive guy in a wheelchair, whatever it may be, don't let that stop you, because you'll be surprised.